Day 37, the continuation of alternate capital letters. So we left off, last letter we did yesterday was the L. Today we'll do an M. There's not much you can do except for that loop that we introduced with the H and the K. You can do that for your M, and you'll still have the descending steps. And that would apply to the N as well. The O, this is the Zaehner-Blauser O. We have that little loop. You can simplify it a little bit and do this for your O. The trick when you do that is start below the top line, because that gives you this nice pretty cross right here. The P. The P, if you've decided that you like this undercurve slant A and an undercurve slant B, the P is much the same. It's an undercurve slant, come around, and cross. And the reason you don't cross your A this way is because it will look like a P. But if you never try to do an A this way, and then your P will always look like a P. And you don't have to cross it as much as I did. I got a little carried away. You could do it just like that. The Q. So remember the Zaehner-Blauser Q started at the base and went around the elliptical and came back down and then did the little twirl and tail. You could simplify this and just do your loop and a loop and a tail. You could do that. But nowadays, most people will think you've lost your mind, because so few people do this Q anymore that most people don't know what it is. Even me, who is a calligrapher. I was doing some reading of cursive letters, and for about 20 minutes I couldn't figure out what that was, and finally I figured it out, that it was a Q. R. We have the Zaehner-Blauser R, and we have the simplified, this R, where you start above, which is in this family of D's. That's a pretty D. I didn't show you that D. Let's see, this family of B's. So, if you like this B, you could do that R with it. But if you like this A and this B and this P, the R will look like this. Undercurve, slant, loop. That will be the R that you do with this B and P. The S. Sorry, dudes. That's the cursive S. That's the cursive S. There are calligraphy S's, but they're really hard to read without the thicks and thins that you get with a calligraphy pen. And people haven't been seeing them, so it's harder for people to read them because that's it. And because we have a calligraphy pen, we have a little weight there. That's it. That's that's the calligraphy S. And people will think you've lost your mind and that you don't know how to write cursive and you were just trying to make an S funny. So stick with the Zaner Blauser S unless you can practice and get really good at it. Okay, let's do a few more. The Zaner Blauser T has that slant and the seat. You can dress it up with a loop here, or you could do the undercurve slant and then that's a T. Or you could do, if you practice, it all in one stroke. The U, not much you can do with U except for add a loop at the beginning of the letter. The V, I made an oops, so don't look at that one. The Zaner Blauser V is very simple, and what you could do to dress it up is give it a loop and an exit. The W, oh, violet. The W, the Zaner Blauser W, is very simple. Remember, it's two V's put together. You could dress it up by doing a loop at the beginning. Or you could do this undercurve slant. So if you've fallen in love with this B and P and R and A, you could do your W, a loop, and then you go straight up, straight down, and then an overcurve, and that's your W. That might get a little hard to read for people because they're not expecting to see a W like that, but it's historical and it's pretty legible. The X, the Zaner Blauser X, remember it broke the rules. So you entered, you went straight down to the baseline, you exit, and then you crossed. You could do, we call this the CX. I call it the CX. Do a loop, and you do a backwards C, and then you come back, and you do a frontwards. You could do that as an X. And for how often you write an X at the beginning of a letter, it doesn't matter how big or crazy you want it, because you can just choose your favorite X and practice it, and then every time you get to use it, just be so happy you get to use it. The Y, you could add a loop at the beginning. then the Z. This funny Z is just gonna be your option. And if you're still having trouble remembering that's a Z, just remember a top, a slant, and a bottom with a loop. Oh, was I off the screen? I'm sorry. You could dress it up by giving it a more exaggerated loop at the beginning. So, those are all your alternate letters. If you really like this loop at the beginning, then you're going to choose the letters with loops. And add your loop. Or but you want some things that are similar in the family of letters, and when you write a whole letter with similarities found, then your handwriting will look beautiful, and everyone will say, "Where did you learn to have such beautiful handwriting?" And you can say, "When I was a kid, they closed all the schools and we had to stay home for, so far, 37 weekdays. And I watched this lady on YouTube teach me cursive. Please practice every day. It'll get easier and better as you train your muscles. And if you have any questions or things you didn't understand, go ahead and leave a comment or send me an email and I will try to answer them. Happy handwriting."